Okay, we should have sound now. Let me just double check on that. Everybody can hear me now? Okay. Yes. Okay, great. So we're good to go. All right. So let me start over. I want to talk about PEMF and other modalities that are out there. And some of the things that we do is get into lots of modalities, shark sound, and besides PEMF. And one of the things that we can do through telehealth medicine is we can use our devices like Zoom and FaceTime, and there's a Doxy .me, DOXY.me, and that's a free service. So, for example, you can set up with people through FaceTime and talk to them initially about what they want to do. You can drop your machine off. They can bring it into their home, and you can set up and do another, face to face while they use it and go through and make sure they're getting it set up properly. So there's ways to go about using hands off. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about telehealth and how you could use it. But the main thing I wanted to do was talk about all these other modalities that are out here, where you've got things that have light, things that have heat. There's cold. There's ultrasound. There's vibration. There's lots of other things. And so I want to give those of you that are kind of new to it, those of you who have machines understand them, but kind of an overview as far as what each one is about and how it can help you with your devices. Or if people that want to use PEMF, they'll say, well, how does that compare to blank? And then this kind of gives you an overview. So I want to start with things that are light emitting. So there is lots of devices out there now where you'll have a light, and there are frequencies that can create heat. Anything that has light, if you can imagine being on top of water and you're shining a flashlight down through the water at a certain depth, you're not going to be able to see it anymore. Or if there's an object just below you, it's going to block and create shade down below it. So that's the way our body is too. So anything with light, it can only go so deep. And if it goes over a bone, it's not going to go past that bone. It stops right at that at that object. So those are kind of an idea as far as how light therapy works. Now, as far as heat, heat is a radiant. It can be done without light. There is light and heat combined, but it is a radiant energy. And so a similar thing is if you have a hot pan or a boiling pan of water, you put it on a heating pad or a mat, the mat itself is going to absorb the heat, whereas you're not going to feel it. Like a hot pad, you're not going to feel it as much below. And so the same thing with heat applies as it goes through the system. It can only go so far, and any objects that are in the way, they're going to block it from traveling further through it. Now, heat is great because it opens up blood flow. So if that's what your goal is to bring more blood flow into the area, heat works really well with that. As opposed to cold restricts blood flow. We often have people like on an injury, we have them put cold on something in the first 72 hours so that it stops the production of heat into the area and blood flow. And sometimes if people put heat on an area, they puff it up and create an artificial cast. It becomes stiff and sore more the next day. So ice is great if you want to maintain mobility of the area and shrink swelling and reduce pain. And it can help it heal up faster. So for us in sports injury, we'll ice it down. We'll throw ice on it the first 72 hours, and then we'll alternate ice and heat for the next 6 weeks. And then after that, we'll use heat only. So heat's great for chronic. Ice is great for recent. Some of the other things that are out there, like ultrasound. Ultrasound is the head of a crystal that vibrates at a high speed. And so you put it on the skin, it goes in and it vibrates at a very high rate. And you need to have a liquid medium on there for it to travel. But if you go near a bone, if you've ever had ultrasound done and you get close to a bone, it hurts. And you have to keep moving it. You can't just let it sit there. So it's a very fast-paced kind of treatment where you're moving it back and forth and you avoid bone. And again, it's going in, it's trying to break up adhesions. It's trying to stimulate the cells for healing. And then that's kind of the same thing with vibration, where you are using like a G5 or the shiatsu massage. Again, it goes in, it's designed more for mechanical as opposed to a frequency, where it's going in and it's releasing toxins and blood flow. And again, that helps out with that healing part. And then the other one too are all of the electrical modalities. So you've got stim, you've got TENS units. That is an electric shocking system. So it goes from one pad to the other, and there's a cross frequency. So it's chasing, like the negative goes to the positive pad, or the positive goes to the negative pad. And if there's 4 of them, then there's a cross. And so there's a frequency of that pulse, or it's like a fast kind of a shocking system. And then you have like a lull, a dull amount versus a strong amount. So like a high frequency, high shock. And again, that only goes from one pad to another. So there's no depth to it. It just goes from one system to the other without going deep. So those are the different modalities. And the TENS units are designed more for an analgesic, where they're going to help reduce pain. And so cold is the same thing. It reduces pain, but it also shrinks swelling and stops blood flow. So there's different types of modalities based on what you're wanting to use. And the great thing about PEMF is that it's not like any of all of those that we just talked about as far as what it does. And you can go through the research and find out. Those of you who've gone through our courses, we've got a general course on PEMF that you can take, and it goes through the physics and how does PEMF work, which is great. It's a great overview. And then if you're working on humans, we've got a certification class for that. If you're working on animals, like large animals, there's one there. And for small animals, there's one there. So you learn how to apply these things and why they work. So hopefully that's a good overview of some of these other things that are out there, because I'm sure you're getting those questions like, well, I have infrared. How does that differ from PEMF? And how does, what's the difference between ice and heat? What should I do first? And does PEMF, is it a substitute for these things? And, again, The properties of PEMF is designed to allow the tissues to heal at a faster rate and at a stronger rate. So it's a better formation, and it helps restore the cells that are damaged. So just by creating stem cells, which is great too. So sorry for the initial sound glitch, but thank you for those of you that pointed it out to me, because without you, I'd have just been a mouth moving in a recording. So that's good. So with that, I wish you a great week. And we are in the process. Hopefully it'll be finished this week. For those of you that asked, yes, we are going to have a personal business digital asset is what we're calling these sites that you'll be able to get that'll promote your business. And so we're going to have those available for members only because of the discounts that we're giving. It's a great deal for those of you that are members, and also a great reason to come and join and be part of the AOPP. And you can find all of that on our website, which is in the links below, PEMFprofessionals.com. And have a great week. We'll see you next week, where I'll be talking also about some of the great things going on in research. So take care and have a great day.